Today I'm going for our first run in the Pegasus Trail 2 Gore-Tex. 11.03 miles, 9 minutes, 27 seconds per mile, 149 beats per minute, and 781 feet of elevation gain on this run, going for what was supposed to be mostly an easy run, except for that little trail segment, which is not a really long trail segment. It's about 3 miles, but it's got a lot of quick elevation changes. Nothing too sustained, but very quick up and very quick down, and lots of it. So a perfect time to test out the Pegasus Trail 2 Gore-Tex, especially since there was so much snow still out on the trail. Now, before I give you my thoughts on how this run went, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that I purchased with my own money. No one sent it to me or is paying me to make the video. And no one's going to get a chance to preview any of my thoughts or footage before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the Pegasus Trail 2 Gore-Tex. Here we've got 30 millimeters of stack height in the heel with a 10 millimeter drop, pure Nike React foam. There's no Zoom airbag, even though this is based off of Pegasus. It's weird that a Pegasus wouldn't have any Zoom Air in it, but this one doesn't. It's all React foam here in the midsole with 20 millimeters of stack height in the forefoot. It is coming in at a pretty hefty weight, having this much React foam in it. It's 10.9 ounces for this men's size 9. It's pretty heavy, although I will say I didn't necessarily notice it. Picking it up, it didn't feel like a particularly heavy shoe, and running with it, while it didn't feel light, it didn't feel heavy either. The other things that we have on here are a rubber toe cap up front to protect you from in case you are dragging your feet and accidentally kicking things, something that I do frequently when I'm out there on the trails. On the back, you've got a really giant pull tab, a tongue that is basically neoprene, so soft in the sense that neoprene is soft but not padded, so I like that. There's a little bit of heel padding right back here at the back part of the shoe to help put your ankle in place. And there's even like a little mini gaiter to help keep some moisture, dust, dirt, that kind of stuff out from the inside of the shoe. Moving to the outsole, we've got lots of rubber coverage, but the rubber isn't super dense. It's a much softer material, very similar to the rubber outsole materials that I've seen in other Nike trail shoes. So putting that all together, what is it like to run in this shoe? I'll say it's just an absolutely fantastic trail shoe for me. Probably what a lot of people would consider like that crossover shoe, that hybrid shoe, the commuter shoe, all these different weird words, which I think crossover shoe is probably the best word. I don't really like any other terms that are out there for the shoe that can be worn on pavement, can be worn on dirt roads, can be worn on trails, kind of like a little bit of a do-it-all, can go anywhere type of shoe. This shoe definitely can do that. I ran on basically 3 different types of surfaces today: dirt roads, on the trail, and on pavement, and it did fantastic on all 3 of those. The combination of React midsole foam here with the softer rubber lugs on the outsole makes for actually a very pleasant combination, even on the pavement. It's not my favorite thing. I wouldn't pick this for every single daily trainer I'd ever run in, but for a shoe that I'm also going to be taking onto the trails and hopefully will primarily be using on trails, actually, it's pretty nice that if I do need to go on some paved roads because of where I live or the kinds of conditions that I have around me, or maybe I'm using it for some of the trails and I'm connecting from one trail to another and there might be some parts where I'm on a road surface, this shoe is definitely going to be very comfortable for all of those situations. It's intended to be one of those daily trainer type of trail shoes, so something that you'll be able to bring out with you pretty much anytime you're out there on the trails or out there on the dirt roads as well. The React foam here is nice and soft. It's absorbing a lot of the road impact, but it's still a pretty lively material, so it feels fast, feels bouncy. The rubber outsole deadens that just a little bit, and that happens with a lot of trail shoes that I run in. but they still, because maybe the outsole rubber is a little bit softer of a composition, it seems like to me, or maybe they're making the React foam a little bit softer, I still feel like there's plenty of give in here, so you're absorbing a lot of shock from a lot of those road miles. I'm really enjoying this, and it's, I think, one of the better examples of React foam that I've seen. I think that it performs the best. I liked it the most when I was out there on the dirt roads, where sometimes it was buffed out, but a lot of times there was lots of rocks in there, not like giant crags, boulders, but rocks that are on a dirt road. Lots of those that are out there. That's the time when this shoe really shines for me, and I'm absolutely loving it there. So if you're doing a lot of running on dirt road surfaces, I think that this is going to be a fantastic shoe to pick up. Even though there isn't a rock plate in here, the substantial React midsole stack height and the rubber outsole coverage, it did plenty to keep those rocks from being uncomfortable or poking me in the bottom of the foot. But I also still felt like I had plenty of connection with the road, so it strikes a nice balance for me. I'm really loving it on the dirt roads. I also had it a little bit on the trails, and it was really snowy there. I mean, there had been some other people through there. Hunting season just ended, and so lots of boot tracks to kind of try and follow. Saw a lot of animal tracks through there as well, but there's a lot of times where I'm just running in lots of powder, so there was that crunch of snow underfoot for a lot of the time that I was out there in the trails today. Definitely very exhausting, because even though I've got this trail shoe with a pretty wide platform in here, which felt like I had lots of grip, I just didn't have a lot of stability beneath the grip because there was just so much snow underfoot. The snow and the slipperiness from the snow aside, I do feel like in the different changes in grade and the unstable footing, and I didn't know necessarily what I was going to get into underfoot because the snow was covering everything. I felt like the flexibility, but also the width of the shoe definitely helped me feel pretty confident no matter where I was putting my feet down, that I was going to eventually be able to get some grip and push off for my next stride. So I felt very good running through the snowy woods today with the Peg Trail 2 Gore-Tex, but the Gore-Tex upper kept all that snow and any moisture from staying out. In fact, my feet were pretty warm, the warmest they've been in a very long time running here in the eastern Iowa winter. So it felt very comfortable, felt very good with the upper and the way the Gore-Tex is performing. I will say though that this toe box is a snug one, so that's definitely bringing back some Pegasus vibes with this shoe. I'm definitely feeling that tightness, that snugness in the toe box up here. I also did run on some pavement for today, getting back home after I was over in New Wine Park, and that's where I didn't like it the most. When I was on the pavement, it still was pretty good because the React foam is soft, and that rubber on the outsole here isn't so dense and stiff as I've seen in some other more like moderate and heavy technical trail type of shoes. So I like the way that the two are working together. But I also felt like some of the things that I didn't love about the shoe started to come forward when I was running on pavement. So one of the things that I didn't love so much is I feel extremely locked in this toe box area. Everything from like the midfoot cage forward, it's absolutely locked in. Everything from the midfoot cage back, it's loosey-goosey. Similar to how a lot of Nike shoes are, very much like the Pegasus line itself. Even though this outsole pattern looks like there's just a lot of coverage everywhere on this shoe, when I was running on pavement, I felt like there was really only this part of the shoe. This part of the shoe kind of like, it didn't disappear because it's still a little bit heavy and there's weight there. But I felt like this is the part of the shoe that I was really using, and I felt like the back of my foot was starting to come out just a little bit. Like this like pseudo gaiter, this little part right up here, this little like neoprene sleeve was nice, but it wasn't doing anything to kind of like keep everything locked in. It didn't feel like it was snug to like my ankle. And this bumper back here, which is meant to keep the heel in, I don't know if it was doing enough of a job or not. I just felt like there was a lot of play going on here. Nothing where I felt like I felt unstable, but just something that was noticeable. So ultimately fine, but I felt like the shoe started to get like a little bit front heavy and unbalanced just a little bit, just because my heel was kind of like picking up as I was running on pavement. The other thing that I noticed is like just overall, I was noticing the weight a lot more when I was on pavement. While I was on the trails, I didn't even notice the weight even for a second. Once I got to paved surfaces, then I was like, oh, this is not a light shoe anymore. Those are just relatively small gripes for me. I'm overall very excited about running in this shoe and putting a lot more miles in it. Again, I love Gore-Tex. I love that it keeps me dry. I love that it can help keep me warm. It's just a fantastic material for winter running. And I'm just definitely a sucker for anything with Gore-Tex in it. And I'm pretty happy with this one. This one turned out really well. I'm very excited about this shoe. And I also just love the colors as well. This black speckled midsole, I just think looks absolutely fantastic. I think they did just such a great job with it. I think it looks better in hand and on foot than it does in the pictures. In the pictures, it looks very bulky. It looks very cumbersome. It doesn't feel like that when you're running out in the trails. Those are my thoughts after just the first run. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or better yet, feel free to stop by the live stream that I do just about every day on YouTube, 3 p.m. Central Time. I'd love to talk to you guys about it more there. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you're staying safe out there on your run, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?